How you doing? Duff here, and time for another Duff 3D video. It hasn't been one in a little while. It doesn't mean I haven't been 3D printing, but I have been, but I haven't really had the time to sit down and really talk much about what the latest and greatest is in my 3D printing hobby. As you saw from the intro, this was a major accomplishment for me. I printed TPU for the first time ever, successfully. I actually tried to print flexible filament very early on with my Flash Forge Finder. Bought it very early, thought it'd be really cool. Supposedly some people had some success printing flexible filament on the Finder, and I did not. I tried multiple times. I used regular TPU, I tried NinjaFlex, and had no success. I also tried printing flexible filament on my CR10, and again had similar issues. I had problems with it not feeding correctly, not adhering well, and that was probably more just me maybe not having good settings, because I know that a lot of people print flexible filament on a CR10 successfully, but I have not been able to. So I kind of gave up after that point and didn't even bother trying until several months ago, a couple months ago, when Dagama US was still in business, which it is not anymore. I saw that on their site they sell the Polymax, or Polyflex I think it's called, flexible filament that was supposed to be made for the Neva. So that was engineered to work with the Neva. Well, I found that was bullshit, and it did not work at all because of the huge, or the very long Bowden tube in the Neva. It clogged constantly. I don't know how anyone would be able to successfully print flexible filament or TPU or whatever on a Neva with that design. And my Neva, you don't see it around here. It actually is in my office right now. So anyways, a couple weeks ago, 10 days ago, I got the idea to try it again. Since that Polyflex stuff was very expensive, and I'm like, well, I might as well try to print it on something else. And I got the idea of trying to print it on my Ender 2. And the reason I thought it would be good in the Ender 2 was because of this very, very short Bowden tube that's in the Ender 2. One of the issues with flexible filament is because it is flexible, it just has a tendency to want to bind in a Bowden tube. So since the Bowden tube on the Ender is, I don't know, 8 inches maybe, I thought it might be interesting to try it on there. So the first thing that I tried to print was this. This is a cover that's used with electric unicycles. You basically snap it over the charge port, and then it doubles back on itself and covers it to keep moisture out. This was something that Steven Sessler designed and put it on Thingiverse, so I thought I'd give that a try. And it came out great. And to slice the model, I used Cura, and the main settings I used was 235 degrees on the print head and a 60-degree bed. I know a lot of times when people print with TPU they use tape or whatever, but I printed on my borosilicate glass on the Ender, and it worked great. Stuck fine, no problems whatsoever. So after that success, I decided I would step it up, and I next tried a phone case. This was a model off of Thingiverse that I tried to personalize with my Duff 3D logo, but I forgot to account for the fact that I need to have a connector here for the center portion of the D's, otherwise they just fell out. So yeah, but this was, you know, obviously a much longer print, and again it came out nice, and I think it was cool using a heated bed because it made the surface that was on the bed like really smooth. You know, this isn't a very fancy design, but it came out pretty well. You know, it's solid, it's durable, and this is for an iPhone 6, and it does. I have an expensive, better case for my iPhone 6, so I'm not actually using this, but it was just kind of a proof of concept. And then finally, the last thing that I tried to print was a benchy. I've printed probably 20 benchies so far, but I've never done one in flexible filament. Again, this came out pretty well. You can see like in the arches and stuff it's a little messy, but it's not too bad. All things considered, I thought it was pretty darn good, pretty solid. And again, that worked really well. So it was exciting to finally have some success with TPU. I have that old Ninja Flex sitting around. I have some dark green Ninja Flex that I've had for probably close to a year. So I would like to try that and see if I can get that to print as well, because I hate the waste filament at this point. So anyways, that's it for now. That's just a real quick video. I just wanted to share that success. I got some feedback on one of my videos. I'm sorry that I don't recall your name off the top of my head, but it was some constructive criticism, which I totally agreed with. He talked about with my videos, like sometimes I have a tendency, if I'm talking about more than one thing at a time, to jump around. Like I'm talking, like for example, on the JG Aura A5 video or videos that I've done, like I was talking about replacing the or tightening the belts, and then I was talking about screwing with the bed. Now I was kind of jumping all over the place, and I can understand why that makes for a less than desirable viewing experience. You know, you kind of want to, you know, talk about one subject to completion and then talk about another subject, or make another subject another video even. So appreciate that feedback. Another thing he mentioned, and again I'm aware of this because I've seen the footage, is in this room, in my hobby room, you know, I have a window right here. And when I'm shooting the videos when there's still daylight out there, it was backlighting me and making the video brightness kind of fade in and out. So now I have the curtains drawn there, and I'll be doing that in the future when I'm recording in here. Another good suggestion. And again, I knew it, but I don't know. Maybe I just need to hear someone say it for me to address it. And while I mentioned the JG Aura A5, it's been printing well. After my initial struggles with getting it dialed in, and the loose belt and the layer shifting and all that kind of stuff, I've gotten that dialed in. I've been printing some parts for my electric unicycle stands, and it's been doing a fine job there. No real problems. That really the only things I could say negatively about it right now is there's some random loud fan noise in the control box that I'm sure I could rip open and put a better fan in there. And that's really the main thing. It's been doing a good job. Like, for example, that's a print. I've been printing a number of these, and that came off the A5, and it's very solid. Good layers. No complaints there. So yeah, I'm happy with my A5. Not so happy with my, again, I'm jumping around a little bit, but I'm just trying to talk about one thing at a time as I'm jumping. I'm not so happy with my my Neva that I have at work. It started this weird problem where it layer shifts, which is an odd thing when you have a printer with a platform that doesn't move. It's layer shifting, and support on that printer is not great. But basically, what I've found as far as possible solutions is tightening the belts. They said if the belt has some flex in it, it can make it kind of skip, and after it skips, then you're gonna have a layer shift. Some of the other suggestions. Keeping the rails that the pull, or not the pulleys, I don't even know what they're called, but the assembly that the control arms are sliding up and down on, keeping that well lubricated. So I got some dry Teflon lubricant that I have applied there. So I'm doing a print right now. I started a print before I left work, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, layer shifting on a Delta printer is something new to me. And yeah, it's getting a little bit annoying. So anyways, that's all I got for now. If you found this video interesting, entertaining, or I don't know, if you're just a nice person, please give it a big thumbs up. If this is your first time on the channel, please consider subscribing. And feel free to leave your comments below. I'm always looking for feedback, especially when it comes to 3D printing. You know, even though I'd say I'm above a novice level of 3D printing at this point, there's still tons and tons and tons that I can learn. So always looking for commentary, feedback, suggestions, questions, whatever. I read them all and respond to everything pretty much. So feel free to interact with me below. But that's all I got for you for now. Until next time, definitely out. We got some guests here. Hi, baby. Who's that? We got Sadie. We got Sadie. Where's Elsa? Where's Elsa? There's Elsa. Good girl. Good girl. video.